those who want to join can join. Live. Join us on our YouTube channel. Sorry about this introduction. Okay. All right. One last thing, and we should be good to go. Wonderful. Posting. All right. Okay. We're here. We've got our connection issues worked out. The group has been updated, and we can move forward in our gathering today. You're on today or whenever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Such a blessing to share the wonders and beauty of the Sangha and the teachings of the Buddha with you all. Let us begin. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Again, welcome to our Sangha gathering. This is the first virtual Sangha we're sharing online. This exciting moment. I'm so grateful to be here. Just by way of introduction, for those who don't know me, my name is Lindsay Zaiyo Freed. I am the local practice leader of the Sanpete Valley Buddhist Fellowship here in Sanpete County, Utah. I'm coming to you live from Manti, from my little book nook. And again, I am so grateful to be here and sharing with you. So just to give sort of an introduction to our fellowship and what we do and our tradition. So our fellowship is under the umbrella of the Utah Buddhist Fellowships. We are a lay-led organization that is under the greater umbrella of the Bright Dawn Center for Oneness. We lay-led being that I'm not a monk, I'm not a nun, I don't live in a monastery, I am just a normal person who has been practicing the way of the Buddha. I have been dedicated as the local practice leader by our sensei, Christopher Kikuyu. And we are just normal, everyday people sharing the work and the practices and the way of the Buddha. And We are also an all-inclusive and trans-sectarian Sangha. Trans-sectarian meaning that we accept influence from all traditions as they would support our practice. All-inclusive meaning anyone can join us, anyone can come to our Sangha, whether that's here in Sanpete Valley. We also have a Sangha in Utah Valley and then one in the Salt Lake Valley. So you don't have to be a Buddhist to join us. You don't have to believe anything to be, or even be trying to become a monk. You don't have to be anything. You just have to be who you are. And we will accept you and welcome you into our fellowship. Just need to be, nothing you need to say or wear or anything like that. We welcome you, like I said, just as you are in this moment. So welcome again and thank you. Another thing I want to mention is that in our practice, in our fellowship, we say Namu Amida Butsu. And this is what's known as the Nembutsu. And this is just a practice of taking refuge in Amida Buddha. And so Namu, the word Namu really translates to meaning I bow to, or I come home to, or I take refuge in. And then Namu Amida Butsu. So Amida Butsu is the name of Amida Buddha. So you can really see this phrase as to meaning essentially, I acknowledge the great compassion of Amida Buddha. Another way to look at this phrase is to see it as a reminder of your own Buddha nature. Some people have a hard time in this aspect of bowing to Amida Buddha, and that's okay. And another way to reflect upon that is to reflect on your own Buddha nature. We all have a seed of Buddha nature inside of us. Buddha nature being the awakening or coming to enlightenment. The nature of it exists also within us. So you can see Namu Amida Butsu is also a practice of remembering your own Buddha nature and taking refuge and coming back home to that space within yourself that is awakened and compassionate, that is aware and is practicing the middle way. So in our fellowship, in our Sangha gatherings, we like to begin with a sharing of our mindfulness practices. Mindfulness practice is simply just awareness practice. So when I say we like to share our mindfulness practices in our Sangha gathering, so we just open up the space for people to share whatever it is that has come up for them in the past week or however long, things that they've become aware of, things that they've been mindful of, something they've been working on, or even things that maybe you've not been so mindful of. Just anything that has kind of been brought to the surface of your awareness lately. And in this virtual Sangha, it really will be just me sharing a bit from my own practice, but I would like to, so I'll just share a little bit of what I've been experiencing and working on, and then I'll just dedicate a minute or two to where I'll just be silent and just give some time for you to reflect on your own practice. So this past week, this past little while, I've really become aware of this principle of mirroring that is present in our reality. I've noticed in my days, in my life, I tend to be a bit opinionated sometimes, especially with people who are close to me. I've been a bit scrutinizing lately. Maybe have spoken a few too many harsh words. But what I've really become aware of in those moments, and really in reflecting after the fact, after I've sort of reacted and projected my opinion onto somebody or something, is that really what I was saying could easily, just as easily, been said back to me. And so I find myself being really quick to respond with, why are you doing it this way? And you should be doing it like this, And meanwhile, when I'm saying those things, and like I said, in the aftermath, I reflect back on the situation, like kind of shake my head at myself, like, oh, Lindsay, it's like you were just speaking to yourself, really, And so just kind of that mirroring effect, we think we are so separate. And so, sometimes I just get on my soapbox and think that I have all the answers and I know what's best. And like I said, meanwhile, what I'm saying, to help, and it really is, I try and do it in a compassionate way, it's out of a compassionate concern for something. And, but meanwhile, the way that I'm speaking is not always compassionate. And that's really what I've noticed a lot lately, like the things that I say and in sort of maybe a more judgmental sort of way, that could easily be, turned back to me. So that's been a bit of my practice these past few days, this past week. Thank you for letting me share that with you. So I'll just leave a minute here. Just take some time right now to reflect back on these past few days, reflect back on the week that you've had recently, or, anything recently in your life. Like I said, anything that's come to your awareness, anything you've been mindful of, anything you've been practicing. Just take some time right now to reflect upon that. Thank you. So as we move forward in our gathering, after we share mindfulness practices, we go into our practice book. I just remembered, normally we start with an opening, a Sangha opening before we share our mindfulness practices, but I got a little ahead of myself. There is a group file with PDF in there of our fellowship practice book. So feel free to go. So, and just for those who may not be aware, Buddhist rituals. This was all compiled by our sensei, Christopher Kikuyo. He's written and put together this practice book for our fellowship. And so just real quickly, a very deep bow to our sensei. Gasho, gasho, namu amida butsu. Namu amida butsu. Thank you so much, sensei. So we'll just begin in our book on page 5. This is our not our Sangha opening, but this is Sensei Kukuyu's open aspirations. With deepest reverence and compassion, we come together just as we are, in the spirit of the Buddha, the enlightened one, the compassionate. Life is one. We are one with the Buddha. We are one with the teachings. We are one in the spirit of universal fellowship. We resolve to be earnest students of the Buddha and to dedicate our lives to kindness and compassion, following the way he has pointed out. Embraced by his great compassion, may we, like him, attain the noblest and most peaceful state of awakening. May we enter the Pure Land here and now. On page 6, the Sangha opening. The Sangha is invited to come back to our breathing so that the collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, flowing as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, listen as one body, chant as one body, transcending the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. My body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearer awake from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow, and hear the name that calls to all of us. Namu Amida Butsu. Page 7. We have gathered together today with open-hearted awareness. May we be nourished by each other and by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and by our myriad of teachers. In body, in mind, in spirit, and in the way of oneness. May our gathering together inspire us to direct our hearts and minds, to heal, not to harm, to help, not to hinder, to bless, not to curse, to always serve the spirit of awakening. May it be so. Again, I hope I'm speaking loud enough. I'm trying to project my voice, so again, my apologies. I'm still working this out. We'll flip over to page 8 in our practice book, the gratitude affirmation. When sorrow invades the mind, we find the Buddha's teachings. Thank you, sorrow. Through cruel adversity, we discover the Sangha and the transformation of suffering. Thank you, cruel adversity. When our clinging or aversions overwhelm us, we discover the great compassion of Amida Buddha. Thank you, clinging and aversions. Through the unfolding of the Dharma, we place our hands in Gasho and bow to the oneness of life. Namu Amida Butsu. Our work and the Buddha's are the same. Let us remember that we are called to be compassionate, understanding that in compassion, there is no respect and no disrespect, no responsibility, no judgment. There is no anger, no bias, no prejudice. In compassion, we do not keep others from what they are doing or what they are thinking. We do not look for cause or blame or give any thought to effort. In compassion, our only concern is for the suffering that is there. May it be so. Page 10, Friendship Affirmation. I open my heart and mind to friendship. Friendship with myself and others as the ground of my being. I am ready to befriend myself as the foundation of love, insight, contentment, knowledge, and spirituality, benefiting all of life. I am ready to befriend all beings and things as the basis of living my spiritual wisdom and for the purpose of being fully human. I am ready to vow that I will not abuse my power or violate the integrity of all beings on the earth. I open my heart and mind to friendship with myself and others as the matrix of being alive and following the way. Page 12, the Discourse of Loving Kindness. In the Metta Sutra, the Buddha teaches loving kindness. Let us now recite the heart of this teaching. Practicing loving kindness as taught by the Awakened One. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be free. May I live content and at peace in this world and the next. May I awaken to the light of my own true nature. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be free. May you live content and at peace in this world and the next. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May all be safe. May all be well. May all be happy. May all be free. May all live content and at peace in this world and the next. May all awaken to the light of their own true nature. All beings, one Buddha nature. All beings, one Buddha nature. All beings, one Buddha nature. Namo Amida Butsu. Page 16, Genuine Contact. From today on, I open myself to genuine contact with each person I meet and to treating them with utmost respect and genuine responsiveness. I am ready to stop protecting myself from closeness with other people by insisting on my point of view and by not listening. I am ready to stop protecting myself from closeness with other people through judgment, discrimination, blame, and distancing. I am ready to stop protecting myself from closeness with other people by withdrawing from them or by overwhelming them with my actions. I open myself to genuine contact with each person I meet. We call upon Bodhisattva Maitreya, bringer of peace and loving kindness, the jewel of the heart of the lotus. We call upon the Bodhisattva of love, who lightens the minds and hearts of all beings and invites them into the Sangha of goodness, of peacefulness, of boundlessness. From the heart of the great compassion comes Maitreya, his body as our body, his heart as our heart, his mind as our mind. Becoming as one body, one heart, and one mind, we awaken the light of Maitreya. When we gather in the spirit of universal brotherhood and sisterhood, remembering our infinite relation, Reciting the heart of the Metta Sutra for the liberation of all beings, we invoke the light of the Maitreya to inspire wisdom, courage, and temperance in the hearts of all. Sararam Gacchami. So we have now arrived at the point in our gathering where we our chanting practice and our fellowship is a song. So we sing a song together. This is a song of ideals, and just let it go as it will, and kindly bring it back to your center. Bring it back to that breath. We're just going to take the next, like I said, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll do our song, and then 5 to 10 minutes of silent meditation. This will end by the sound of the bell, and then we'll go right after that into our Dharma discussion for today. Leave everything, the heavens and earth and all of I am so grateful, for I know that there is no I apart from others. Saying Namo Amitabhaya, I Om Namo Amitabhaya, Buddhaya Dharmaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya, Buddhaya Dharmaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya, Buddhaya Dharmaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya, Buddhaya Dharmaya, Buddhaya Dharmaya Sanghaya. So, for our Dharma discussion today, I wanted to talk about the importance of the Sangha. As this is kind of our first Sangha gathering in this way, I just wanted to discuss why have Sangha gatherings? Why come to a Sangha? Why be a part of a Sangha? And I mentioned earlier about the treasures of Buddhism, the three treasures. The first being the treasure of the Buddha, the second being the treasure of the Dharma, and the third is the treasure of the Sangha. And Thich Nhat Hanh speaks about the Sangha as this. He writes, or says, he says, a Sangha is a community of friends practicing the Dharma together in order to bring about and maintain awareness. The essence of a Sangha is awareness, understanding, acceptance, harmony, and love. Sorry. When you do not see these in a community, it is not a true Sangha, and you should have the courage to say so. But when you find those elements are present in a community, you know you have the happiness and fortune of being in a true Sangha. Now I want to point out as well, the Sangha, this is a Buddhist term, but the Sangha can be so much larger than just a Buddhist community. In fact, we have our own Sanghas as families, as friends, as neighbors, as cultures, as countries. We have our worldly Sangha as well. So I just wanted to bring that to mind. There's this, our Sangha gathering is part of the Sanpete Valley Buddhist Fellowship, but I'd like to also bring to awareness that the whole of the Sangha is much bigger, much more encompassing than that. It can be, really. The original Japanese word for Sangha is dojo. And dojo is a place of learning and discussion, a place of awakening. And primarily, it was a place where we can encounter our ego self. And what the ego self is oftentimes referred to as maybe the lower self. The ego self is the part of ourselves that has expectations and clingings and aversions, has passions, and can be a little foolish at times. The ego builds walls. The ego builds walls. And really it's to keep us safe. But a lot of times it hinders our growth. It hinders our progression. It hinders our awakening to our true nature. So the dojo was a place where you could encounter this ego self. And the original Sanghas, so there are two main streams of Buddhist teachings, Buddhist Sanghas, Buddhist practice, Buddhist philosophy. There's two main streams, one being Theravada Buddhism and the other being Mahayana Buddhism. Our Sangha is Mahayana Buddhist Sangha. And but just to give a little history real quick, the Theravada stream is essentially the original stream of Buddhism. The Theravada stream is the monastic stream. It's the monastic order. It's a little bit more conservative, and back in the formation of Buddhism as a spiritual stream, the Theravada group were those who left behind their lives, their regular normal lives, and who went to live in a monastery to study the teachings, to practice diligently every day, all day. The Theravada stream is kind of, I think, what a lot of people associate Buddhism with. The monks that are, live in a temple up in the mountain, away from society, just studying and practicing throughout the rest of their lives. And so, back when Buddhism was originally forming, there were people who could not leave behind their lives. They couldn't leave their families. They couldn't leave their work. But they did want to participate in practicing the Dharma and learning the teachings of the Buddha. And this led to the development of the Mahayana Buddhist stream, which developed into a Sangha where normal people, again, lay people, as they're called, could gather together and practice together without having to leave behind their normal lives. So this was the development of the Mahayana Sangha. And again, this is what our Sangha primarily is based upon, is that, again, like I said earlier, we're not monks. I don't live in a monastery. I live in this house. I have a job. So, and our Sangha is all inclusive. Again, like I explained earlier, we accept all and anyone, regardless of whatever tradition or lack thereof that they practice. No matter who you are, or where you are on your journey, or what you think or feel or believe, or what you're experiencing, you're welcome to be a part of our Sangha and to participate in our Sangha gatherings with us. Thich Nhat Hanh goes on to say about the Sangha, he says, if you have a supportive Sangha, it's easy to nourish your bodhicitta, which is the seed of enlightenment. If you don't have anyone who understands you or supports you in practicing the Dharma, your desire to practice may wither. Your Sangha family, friends, and co-practitioners are the soil, and you are the seed. So there's a story about the Buddha and his cousin Ananda. And Ananda became a member of the Buddha's Sangha very quickly after he gained enlightenment and began his teachings. So Ananda joined him and was a very, very close companion of his throughout his life. So the Buddha and Ananda are walking one day, and Ananda receives this great epiphany. He comes to this great awareness, and he has to share this with the Buddha. And he says, "Oh Lord, oh Buddha, I've figured it out." And the Buddha says, "What, Ananda? What have you figured out?" And Ananda says, "Spiritual friendships are the half of spiritual life." And the Buddha contemplates this for a second, and Ananda's feeling real good about himself, like, yes, I've got it, I figured it out. Spiritual friendships, half of the spiritual practice, that's half of the spiritual life. Okay. And the Buddha says to Ananda, he says, "You're wrong, cousin. Spiritual friendships are the whole of spiritual life." Now, in the story, spiritual friendships in Buddhism are called Kalyana Mitrata. And Kalyana means beautiful, virtuous, auspicious. And Mitrata means friendship. Kalyana Mitrata. But I always really enjoyed hearing that story. And reflecting upon that spiritual friendships, spiritual community, true community is not just a part of the practice, but it is the whole of the practice. And for me, that's a really big thing. I have a large tendency to be a bit of a hermit. And I have lots of supportive friends and friendships, and of course our greater Sangha community is so supportive and uplifting. But I do have a tendency to kind of be alone, and I pull the hermit archetype very often. So I like reflecting on the story sometimes when I'm feeling alone, or feeling like I've got it all figured out, and I know I haven't, and that really the essence of spiritual, the people you love, the people in your community, the people around you, sharing the truth and wisdom and the compassion and kindness of the Buddha way, or of whatever tradition that you practice. But not keeping that for yourself, but sharing it with others and having others share themselves with you and supporting each other along the way. There's a quote by the Buddha that is often circulated, and as with many Buddha quotes, I'm not sure if this is totally 100% true that he said this, but I do like it. And I think it's very accurate, and it would be something that the Buddha would say. The quote being, we are all walking each other home. And it's true. Even in our loneliness, even in our little hermit caves, we're still walking with each other. Whether that's each other person to person, or whether that's us and our community of animals and plants, of other beings around us who are all participating in the practice of life. Our community is large, and we are all walking each other home. Another way to describe the Sangha and the relationship of spiritual friendships, rubbing against each other until they become smooth, buffing each other, rubbing off those harsh edges until they're polished and smooth. A place of true intimacy, true friendship. We get to know ourselves best in our relationship. The Buddha's first teaching after he gained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, his first teaching was, know thyself. And just as I spoke earlier about, me coming to awareness, even more so about the principle of mirroring and this mirroring effect that happens, this is how we get to know ourselves, is through our, or that's just regular people or even strangers in our lives. When we become mindful and aware of this mirroring effect of how things in our lives are reflecting back the lessons and the teachings that will lead us to coming to know ourselves, to coming to awareness of our true nature, then that begins cultivating that bodhicitta seed, that begins cultivating the seed of enlightenment. And it helps us further progress along the path towards our awakening, towards our realization of our Buddha nature, of our true self. The Sangha is a reference point. Excuse me. When we share and practice together, that becomes a reference point, a place of reflection where we can take in and also give out. There's in Hindu mythology, there's a god named Indra, and Indra is the god of space, the god of the universe. Indra created the universe. He castled, and we are reflecting everybody to everybody else, and everybody else is reflecting to us, and this is the net of being. This is the principle of interbeing, of interconnectedness, that we all are connected through this great universal net, so to speak. And bodhisattvas and beings that live in the Pure Land, that coagulate in the Pure Land. And they're all wandering around, enjoying the beauty and the miracle and the wonders of this beautiful place. And in the Pure Land, there are flowers raining down all the time. There's always flowers. And as all of us, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and spiritual beings, we're all wandering through this Pure Land, and each of us has a bowl. And we're collecting these beautiful flowers that are just raining down constantly, and it's just magical. And meanwhile, although each one of us has a bowl full of flowers, even though the flowers are so abundant, we would never be without flowers. Still, everyone in the Pure Land offers their bowl of flowers to everyone else, sharing in the beauty of the Pure Land. Now, traditionally, like I said, the Pure Land is often seen as sort of an afterlife experience, this place in between births, where you go in your next life. But in our fellowship, we like to bring up the awareness that the Pure Land can also be here and now. It can be in this moment. We can share the merits of our practice. We can share the beauty of the Sangha. We can share the wonders of the Buddha Dharma with each other as we gather together in a spiritual community. As you're watching this video, we are creating the Pure Land together. Here, right now, in this moment, the Pure Land is now. That is the anchor of Buddhist practice, is to find the Pure Land, to find nirvana, to find your enlightenment in this very moment. And in the Sangha, this gets reflected to us through the experience of others. We can come to the Pure Land together, right now, in a Sangha, in the way of the Sangha. So as you go through your practice this week, I just would invite you to reflect upon the treasure of the Sangha, to reach out to those in your community, to dive deeper into who is truly a part of your Sangha. Can you find even those who may be conflicting you, those who you may not agree with? Can you find where they too are supporting your practice? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are. Thank you for coming to Sangha. Thank you for being a part of my Sangha. In closing, we'll go to page 29 in our practice book. May the merit of this ceremony adorn the Buddha's pure lands, bring forth the fourfold kindnesses, and relieve the suffering of life's many paths. As we leave and conclude this gathering, we surround all people and all forms of life with infinite love and compassion. May the sound of this bell ring through the universe, awakening all beings to joy and equanimity. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light. Be free. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Also, enjoy subscribing to the Salt Lake Buddhist Fellowship channel here on YouTube, where our sensei Christopher Kikuyo shares his Dharma. Thank you. And also, my friends, have a beautiful day. I hit that.